I was sitting on the curb in front of what used to be my house, holding a cardboard box with everything I owned, when my daughter Sarah walked out and locked the door behind her. Not her door. My door. The door to the house I'd built with my own hands 40 years ago. The house where I'd raised her and her brother. The house I'd lost 3 months ago because I'd taken out a second mortgage to pay for her wedding. "Dad, you need to go now," she said, not meeting my eyes. "Brian and I talked about it. We can't have you staying here. It's awkward." Awkward. That was the word she used. I was 70 years old. My wife had died a year ago. I just lost my house. And my daughter, who now owned that house, was kicking me out because housing her homeless father was awkward. "Sarah, I don't have anywhere to go," I said quietly. "That's not my problem, Dad," she said, her voice cold. "You made your choices. You should have planned better. You should have saved more. You're an adult. Figure it out." She got in her car, the car I'd helped her buy, and drove away, left me sitting on that curb with a box of clothes and a lifetime of regrets. I sat there for an hour, trying to figure out what to do, where to go, how a man who'd worked for 50 years, who'd raised 2 children, who'd given everything he had to his family, ended up homeless at 70. Then a car pulled up, not just any car, a Bentley, black, gleaming, the kind of car I'd only seen in movies. The window rolled down, and a face I hadn't seen in 48 years looked at me with concern. "Jimmy," the voice said. "Jimmy Morrison? Is that you?" I looked up, and my heart almost stopped, because sitting in that Bentley, looking at me like he'd seen a ghost, was Tommy Chun, my best friend from the Navy, the guy I'd served with in Vietnam, the guy who'd saved my life, the guy I'd lost touch with in 1975, when we both came home and went our separate ways. "Tommy?" I whispered. "What are you doing here?" "I live 3 blocks over," he said, getting out of the car. "I was driving home and I saw..." "Jimmy, what the hell is going on? Why are you sitting on the curb with a box?" And that's when everything changed, because Tommy Chun wasn't just my old Navy buddy anymore. He was Thomas Chun, billionaire tech entrepreneur, CEO of Chun Technologies, worth $3.7 billion according to Forbes. And he'd just found his old friend homeless on the street. Before I tell you what happened when Tommy found out why I was there, before I reveal what he did to my children, and how everything turned around, you need to subscribe right now. Because this story is about being thrown away by the people you sacrificed everything for, and being rescued by someone who never forgot what you meant to them. Hit that subscribe button. You want to see how this ends. Let me back up so you understand how I got to that curb. My name is James Morrison. Jimmy to my friends. I'm 70 years old. I spent 50 years as a construction worker and contractor. Built houses. Good houses. Including the one I was sitting in front of. My wife, Linda. And I raised 2 children in that house. Sarah, 45. And Michael, 42. We weren't wealthy, but we were comfortable. We had enough. Linda worked as a teacher. I worked construction. We saved, planned, thought we'd retire comfortably. Then 3 years ago, Sarah got engaged to Brian, a guy who worked in finance and acted like he was royalty. They wanted a wedding, not just a wedding, the wedding, destination venue, 300 guests, designer dress, the works, costs $120,000. Sarah asked if we could help. Linda and I talked about it. We had $60,000 in savings. We offered that. Sarah cried, said it wasn't enough, said all her friends were having dream weddings, said we were her parents, said if we really loved her, we'd make it happen. Linda gave in first. Then I did. We took out a second mortgage on our house, borrowed $60,000, added it to our savings, gave Sarah her dream wedding. It was beautiful. She was happy. We went into debt, but we thought it was worth it. We thought we were investing in our daughter's happiness. 1 year later, Linda got sick, started having headaches, dizziness. We thought it was stress, maybe high blood pressure. Went to the doctor, got the diagnosis that destroyed our world, brain tumor, inoperable. They gave her 6 months to a year. The medical bills started immediately. Even with insurance, the costs were staggering. Experimental treatments Linda wanted to try, specialists, medications. We burned through what was left of our savings in 3 months. I was 72. Linda was 70. I couldn't work construction anymore. My back was shot. Linda couldn't work at all. We were living on Social Security, and my small pension. It wasn't enough. I called Sarah, asked if she could help with Linda's medical bills. After all, we'd just given her $120,000 for her wedding. Surely she could spare something for her dying mother. "Dad, that's really bad timing," she said. "Brian and I just bought a house. We're stretched thin. Maybe ask Michael." I called Michael. He was worse. "Dad, I've got my own family to think about. You guys should have better insurance. That's not my responsibility." Linda died 4 months later, without the treatment she'd wanted, without the specialists who might have given her more time. She died in our bedroom, holding my hand, apologizing for being expensive. After she was gone, I couldn't keep up with the mortgage payments. The second mortgage plus the first was too much. I fell behind, then further behind. The bank started foreclosure proceedings. I called Sarah, called Michael, begged them to help me save the house they'd grown up in, the house their mother and I had built. Sarah said she'd think about it. Michael said he couldn't afford it. The bank foreclosed, put the house up for auction. And who bought it? Sarah and Brian, for $200,000, half what it was worth. My daughter bought my house out of foreclosure. "Dad, this is actually good," she said when she told me. "Now you don't have to worry about losing the house. It's staying in the family, and you can stay here. We'll work something out." I believed her, thought she'd bought it to help me, to keep me from being homeless. I found out later Brian saw it as an investment property. They were going to let me stay there temporarily, then rent it out or flip it. But first, I could live there for a while. That lasted 3 months. 3 months of Sarah and Brian treating me like a tenant in my own house, making rules, telling me when I could use the kitchen, complaining about my things, making me feel like a burden. Then yesterday, Sarah came over. "Dad, we need to talk. Brian and I have decided to move in here. It's bigger than our place. Better neighborhood. Better for when we have kids. So you're going to need to find somewhere else to live." "Where am I supposed to go?" I asked. "I don't know. Maybe you can rent a room somewhere. Or there are senior living facilities. You'll figure something out." "Sarah, I don't have money for rent. I'm living on Social Security. You know that. That's not my problem, Dad. You're an adult. You made choices. Spending all your money on my wedding. Not planning for retirement. Not having better insurance. Those were your choices. Now you have to deal with the consequences." I stared at my daughter, this woman I'd raised, who I'd worked 70-hour weeks to provide for, who I'd put through college, who I'd given everything to, and she was calling me irresponsible for giving her the wedding she'd begged for. "You asked me for that money," I said quietly. "And you gave it to me," she shot back. "That was your choice. I didn't force you. Now pack your things. You have until tomorrow." That's how I ended up on that curb. I'd packed 1 box. Clothes, a photo album, Linda's wedding ring. That was it. Everything else I owned was in that house. Furniture I'd built, tools I'd used for 50 years. Photo albums from our whole life. Sarah said she'd donate it or sell it. I couldn't fight her. The house was legally hers. I had no rights. I sat on that curb trying to figure out my next move. Homeless shelter? I'd never been to one. Didn't know how they worked. Sleep in my car? I didn't have a car anymore. Sold it 6 months ago to pay for Linda's funeral. That's when Tommy pulled up. "Jimmy, talk to me," Tommy said, sitting down on the curb next to me. "What happened?" I told him everything. About Linda, about the wedding, about the medical bills, about the foreclosure, about Sarah buying a house and now kicking me out, about having nowhere to go. Tommy listened without interrupting. When I finished, his face was hard. "Your daughter," he said slowly. She bought your house for half price in foreclosure, knowing you couldn't afford it, then kicked you out so she could live in it. Yeah, and she did this after you gave her $120,000 for her wedding. Yeah. Tommy stood up, pulled out his phone, made a call. Marcus, it's me. I need you to pull property records for... He gave my address. Who owns it? Perfect. Now I need you to make an offer. Full asking price plus 20%. Cash. Today. And Marcus, I want the current owners out by end of business tomorrow. I don't care what it costs. He hung up, looked at me. You're not homeless, brother. You're coming home with me. Tonight. And tomorrow we're fixing this. Tommy, I can't let you buy my house. That's too much. I can't. You saved my life in the Nong. Tommy interrupted. 1972, we were pinned down. Everyone else in our unit was dead or dying. You dragged me 3 clicks through the jungle with a bullet in your leg. You carried me when you could barely walk yourself. You saved my life, Jimmy. I owe you everything. And even if I didn't, you're my brother. Brothers, don't let brothers sleep on the street. I started crying, right there on that curb. This man I hadn't seen in 48 years, who owed me nothing, who'd built a life worth billions, and he was calling me brother. That night, I stayed in Tommy's house. Not house, mansion. 12 bedrooms. Pool. Guest house. Staff. It was overwhelming. But Tommy treated me like family. We stayed up until 3 a.m., talking, catching up, filling in 48 years of missing history. He told me about coming home from Vietnam, going to college on the GI Bill, getting a degree in computer science, starting a tech company in his garage in 1985, building it into an empire. I looked for you, he said, back in 75. 76, called every Morrison in the phone book in our hometown. Never found you. I moved, I said, got married, started over, tried to forget the war. Me too, but I never forgot you, never forgot what you did for me, and now I get to return the favor. The next morning, Tommy's lawyer called. Sarah had accepted the offer. She and Brian were selling the house for $450,000, 20% above market value. Cash, with the condition they vacate immediately. Sarah called me an hour later, frantic. Dad, someone just made an offer on the house. A huge offer, but they want us out by tonight. We don't understand what's happening. Do you know anything about this? I might, I said calmly. Who bought it? Some LLC, Chin Holdings or something. Dad, this is crazy. We just moved in. We have rights. You have no rights. I interrupted. You're selling the house. That's what happens. You vacate. But where are we supposed to go? I don't know, Sarah. Maybe you can rent a room somewhere. Or there are apartments. You'll figure something out. I used her exact words. Let them sink in. That's not funny, Dad. I'm not laughing. Tommy and I showed up at the house that afternoon. Sarah and Brian were packing frantically. When Sarah saw Tommy, saw the Bentley, the tailored suit, the bodyguard, her face went white. Who is this? She demanded. This is Thomas Chun, I said. My friend from the Navy. He owns Chun Technologies. Maybe you've heard of it. He's also the new owner of this house. Well, technically his holding company is, but same thing. Brian's face went from confused to horrified. Chun Technologies? As in worth billions. That's the one, Tommy said pleasantly. Nice to meet you. You must be the daughter who kicked her 70-year-old father out of his house. Sarah's mouth opened and closed. Dad, if you had friends with money, why didn't you tell me? We could have worked something out. We didn't have to sell. I didn't have friends with money when you kicked me out yesterday, I said. I had nothing. I was homeless, sitting on the curb, and you didn't care. You called it not your problem. Remember? I didn't mean, Dad, come on. You know I love you. I was just stressed. Brian and I have been under a lot of pressure. I didn't really want you to leave. You told me to figure it out because I was an adult. I interrupted, so I did. I figured it out. Now you figure out where you're going to live. If you've ever had family turn on you when you needed them most, hit that like button right now. And tell me in the comments, would you forgive Sarah? Because what happened next tested everything I thought I knew about forgiveness and family. Tommy didn't just buy the house. He renovated it completely while I stayed in his guest house. He had contractors, the best in the city, redo everything. New kitchen, new bathrooms, fixed the roof I'd been meaning to fix for 10 years. Repainted, refinished the floors. Brought in my old furniture from storage where Sarah had dumped it. Found my tools, my photo albums, everything. 3 months later, he handed me the keys. It's yours, Jimmy. Free and clear. No mortgage. I had it put in your name. You're home. Tommy, I can't accept this. This is too much. You carried me 3 clicks through the jungle, he said again. This is a house. You gave me my life. We're not even close to even. I moved back into my house. My home. The place Linda and I had built. But it felt empty without her. Tommy visited every week. We became close again, like we'd never been apart. He introduced me to his wife, Lisa, his 3 kids, his grandkids. They adopted me as family. Sarah tried to reach out, multiple times. Calls, texts, showing up at the house. Dad, please, can we talk? I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Can we start over? I didn't answer for 6 months. Just let her calls go to voicemail. Let her texts pile up. I wasn't ready. Michael reached out too. Dad, I heard what happened. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. For Mom, I was selfish. I want to make it right. Tommy's advice was simple. They're your kids, Jimmy. I can't tell you whether to forgive them, but I can tell you this. Make them earn it. Don't make forgiveness cheap. Make them understand what they did. Make them prove they've changed. Real remorse looks like action, not just words. Finally, after 8 months, I agreed to meet Sarah and Michael at my house. They came together, both looking nervous, ashamed. Dad, we're so sorry, Sarah started. We were horrible to you, selfish, greedy. We took advantage. We abandoned you when you needed us most. After everything you did for us, everything you sacrificed, we have no excuse. You're right, I said simply. You don't. Can you forgive us? Michael asked. I don't know. I said honestly. You weren't just ungrateful. You were cruel. Your mother was dying. She wanted treatments we couldn't afford. I called both of you for help. You both said no. She died without those treatments. Without that chance. Because you couldn't spare money for the woman who raised you. Sarah started crying. We didn't know. You didn't want to know. I interrupted. You didn't want to be inconvenienced. And when I lost a house because I'd helped you, Sarah, you swooped in and bought it cheap, then kicked me out when I became inconvenient. Do you know where I was when Tommy found me? On the curb, homeless, at 70 years old, because my own children couldn't be bothered. We know, Michael said, we know how bad it was, and we're trying to make amends. We've both been in therapy, trying to understand how we became people who could do that to our own father. And we were entitled, spoiled. We took you and Mom for granted. We thought you'd always be there, always giving, always sacrificing. We never thought about what you needed, what you'd given up for us. We just took and never gave back. What do you want from me? I asked. A chance, Sarah said. A chance to prove we're different, that we've learned. We can't undo what we did, but we want to be better. We want to be the children you deserve to have. I looked at them, these 2 people I'd raised, who caused so much pain, but who were also my children, Linda's children. I'll think about it, I said. Over the next year, they tried, really tried. Sarah and Brian both got jobs, real jobs, not just Brian's finance position. They started volunteering at homeless shelters, both of them, every week. Sarah said she needed to understand what she'd almost condemned me to. Michael started visiting every Sunday, bringing his kids, helping around the house. Both of them went to therapy, individual and family. They didn't ask for forgiveness. They just showed up, did the work. Tommy watched it all. "What do you think?" he asked one day. "I think they're trying." I said, "But I don't know if I can forget." "You don't have to forget," Tommy said. "Forgiveness doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen. It means choosing not to let it define your future. But that's your choice. Nobody else can make it for you." 2 years after Tommy found me on that curb, we had Thanksgiving dinner. Me, Tommy and his family, Sarah and Brian, Michael and his wife and kids, everyone together. It was awkward, tense, but we did it. Sarah had brought her famous sweet potatoes, Linda's recipe. Michael brought wine. Tommy brought stories that made everyone laugh. At the end of the night, after everyone had left except Sarah and Michael, we talked. I'm not all the way there yet. I told them. I still hurt. I still remember. But I'm trying. For your mother's sake. For my sake. I don't want to spend my last years bitter and alone. "We understand," Sarah said, "and we'll keep trying. For however long it takes." "There's something you should know," Michael said. "Sarah and I have been saving. Everything we can. We want to pay you back. For the wedding. For the medical bills we should have help with. All of it." "That's a lot of money," I said. "We know. It'll take us years. But we're committed. You gave us everything. We're going to give back, even if it's too late." I thought about that. About them trying to repay debts that couldn't really be repaid. "Keep your money," I said. "Use it to be better people. Be better to your own children than you were to me. That's the repayment I want." Now, 3 years after that curb, my life looks different. Tommy and I are closer than brothers. We have lunch twice a week. Our families are intertwined. He treats me like the family I never had. Sarah and Michael, we're rebuilding. Slowly. It's not perfect. Sometimes I still feel the anger, the hurt, but we're trying. They've changed. Really changed. Not because Tommy had money, but because they saw what they'd become and didn't like it. Looking back, I realized something important. I spent 50 years working to give my children everything, every advantage, every opportunity. And in doing that, I taught them to take, not to give, not to sacrifice, not to value what they had. I taught them that Dad would always fix everything, always be there, always give. And when I couldn't give any more, they didn't know how to be anything but takers. That's my fault too, not just theirs. I should have taught them differently. Should have let them struggle sometimes. Should have said no. Should have showed them what real sacrifice looks like instead of just doing it silently. But I also learned about friendship, about loyalty that lasts 48 years, about a man who never forgot, who saved his life, who showed up when I was at my lowest, who didn't just give me money. He gave me back my dignity, my home, my life. Tommy says I saved him in Vietnam, but he saved me too. On that curb, when I had nothing and no one, he reminded me that my worth wasn't in what I could give my children. It was in who I was, in the choices I'd made, in the life I'd lived. Sometimes the family you choose is stronger than the family you're born into. And sometimes the people who owe you nothing give you everything, while the people who owe you everything give you nothing. If this story made you think about family, about sacrifice, about what we owe each other, I need you to do something. First, subscribe to this channel. We share real stories about betrayal, redemption, and the complicated truth about family. Stories that will make you think about your own relationships and choices. Second, hit that like button if you think Sarah and Michael should work for forgiveness, not just ask for it. Or comment if you think Jimmy was too harsh. I want to hear what you think. Third, tell me in the comments, have you ever been taken for granted by family? How did you handle it? Did relationships survive? I read every comment. And if you want more stories about people who found strength when everything fell apart, check the video on your screen. Thanks for watching. And remember, your worth isn't measured by what you give. It's measured by who you are. Family who only values you when you're useful isn't family. They're users. Real family shows up when you have nothing to give. Real friends remember who you were when it mattered. Don't sacrifice yourself trying to buy love. Love that has to be bought isn't love. And don't forget the people who were there when you had nothing. They're the ones who matter. Everything else is just noise.